Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. As you've probably already guessed from the thumbnail, in today's video, your fansy is diving into a question that has been circulating all over the internet lately. Is BLACKPINK truly privileged? To begin with, let's take a look at why this perception exists. Many people assume that the members have always been privileged simply because they debuted under a major company like YG Entertainment. Additionally, their rapid rise in popularity during their debut era led others to believe that their success was handed to them, rather than earned. But here's the thing, calling someone privileged isn't always wrong, it's just often incomplete. So instead of blindly agreeing or disagreeing, let's actually break this down. When you look beyond the surface, their journey tells a very different story. Like most K-pop idols, the members of BLACKPINK went through years of intense training, long before the fame, the recognition, or the success. This wasn't something handed to them overnight, nor were they simply born into a position where success was guaranteed. In fact, even before they had the chance to establish themselves, they were met with significant backlash. From the very beginning of their debut, the group faced criticism and accusations, particularly the narrative that they were the reason behind the disbandment of 2NE1. This placed an immense amount of pressure on them, as they were forced to prove their worth in an environment where public perception was already working against them. Before we go any further, it's important to understand what privileged actually means. In simple terms, being privileged implies having access to advantages that make success significantly easier, whether that's connections, wealth, or opportunities that remove most obstacles from one's path. However, when you apply this definition to BLACKPINK, it doesn't fully align. While they may have debuted under a well-known company, that alone doesn't erase the years of training, uncertainty, and of pressure they endured. From the very beginning, their careers were constantly questioned, whether it was their talent, their impact, or even their place in the industry. On top of that, they were often subjected to excessive and, at times, completely unwarranted hate that went far beyond normal criticism. Privilege suggests an easier journey, but their path was anything but easy. At the same time, it would be unfair to ignore the advantages that came with being under YG Entertainment. Debuting in a well-established company naturally meant better resources, high-quality production, and immediate public attention. These are opportunities many smaller groups don't receive. However, having access to these advantages is not the same as achieving success because of them. Resources can create visibility, but they cannot sustain relevance, build a loyal fan base, or deliver consistent impact. BLACKPINK's success goes far beyond their company. It lies in their ability to captivate audiences, maintain global influence, and stand out in an industry where even well-funded groups struggle to survive. If privilege was enough, every group from a big company would be at the same level, but that's clearly not the case. Also, privilege might give you a platform, but it doesn't make the world stay and watch, despite everything they've achieved. The narrative around them hasn't softened, it's just evolved. From being accused of replacing their seniors to constantly having their talent questioned, their journey started with criticism, not comfort. And still, the narrative chosen was privilege. It has now been nearly a decade into their career, and BLACKPINK have consistently excelled, not only as a group, but also through their individual endeavors. However, the success did not come without limitations. Despite being under YG Entertainment, the group faced noticeable restrictions, including a limited number of song releases and fewer opportunities to actively engage within the broader K-pop industry, something the company has long been known for. Moreover, the members were rarely given the creative freedom to write or produce their own music, and ironically, instead of these constraints being recognized as management decisions, they were often misinterpreted as a lack of talent on the girls' part. In reality, it wasn't their abilities that were limited, but the opportunities they were given to showcase them. This becomes even more evident when looking at their activities beyond those restrictions. Once given greater creative freedom, the members clearly demonstrated their capabilities as artists, actively participating in writing and shaping their own music during their time as a group under strict management. BLACKPINK released fewer than 40 songs, yet within a short period following changes in their contract conditions. The members collectively released a comparable volume of music through their individual projects. Both Rose Lisa and Jennie delivered full-length albums featuring extensive track lists, while Jisoo expanded her artistic portfolio with a mini-album alongside new K-drama projects. This shift not only highlights their creative potential, but also reinforces a key point. The members were never lacking ambition or talent. Rather, they were previously operating within limitations that restricted how much of that potential could be seen. One of the biggest reasons why BLACKPINK cannot simply be labeled as privileged is because their journey reflects sustained success under limitations rather than ease. While debuting under a major company like YG Entertainment may have provided initial visibility, it did not guarantee longevity, something many groups, even from top agencies, struggle to achieve. If we look at their career timeline, there was never a phase where things were simply easy. From debuting in 2016 under controversy and backlash to facing constant criticism even at the peak of their success, and then being held back during crucial years with limited releases, their journey reflects restriction more than privilege. Even during their global rise, they operated with one of the smallest discographies among top groups, and it was only after contract changes that their creative freedom truly became visible, further proving that their potential was never lacking, only limited. If being privileged was enough, everyone would be where they are. But they're not, because what BLACKPINK has isn't just opportunity, it's impact. And that's something you can't fake. Now, I feel like one of the biggest problems in this entire debate is how loosely the word privileged is used. Because, let's be honest, being from a big company does give you advantages. I'm not denying that. But does that automatically mean your entire career is easy? Or that your struggles don't exist? Absolutely not. So instead of just labeling them as privileged, maybe we should actually look at what they went through, because the reality is way more complex than a single word. So are BLACKPINK privileged? Yes, in certain aspects, like coming from a well-known company and having global exposure, but does that erase their struggles, their limitations, and their effort? No. Privilege might open the door, but it doesn't guarantee how far you'll go once. You step inside, and BLACKPINK didn't just walk through that door, they built something massive with it. I don't expect everyone watching this to agree with everything I said, and honestly, that's completely okay. You're free to have your own opinions, your own perspectives, and even add points I might have missed, but at the end of the day, all I ask is that we keep it respectful, because discussions like these are way more meaningful when they come from understanding, not just arguments. I hope you were able to understand my points, and I'll see you all in the next video. Till then, bye-bye babes.